Good morning, everybody. This is Marcel Castillo, Palomar College professor. I teach ESL reading and writing, and with me here is a friend I met last night at the Harbor Restaurant in San Diego, and we're going to get know a little bit about him based on what he's done here at Catesol. So first, I'd like him to introduce himself. Please introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks, Marcel. So my name is Matthew J. Vendries. I live in Davis, California. I work for the Davis Adult School and volunteer at a place called the International House for English writing. Also teach sometimes at UC Davis Extension and for the greater community in other private classes that we organize. With a team in Davis, we built a small e-learning platform for English skills, specifically communication and cultural skills for intermediate advanced business professionals and academics. And I'm here to sort of make connections to share that software and the courses that we created, and have had a great conference so far where I met people like Marcel.
Okay. The first question is, what are your impressions of the Catesol conference so far, being this as your first one?
Yeah, so this is my first TESOL conference here in San Diego, and I've made a lot of great connections so far and met like-minded educators and people who have ideas and projects in the space that I'm working, which is specifically where I invest my time, is workforce development and skills to help people along their pathway toward more career opportunities. And I made a lot of great connections and went to some sessions yesterday and will go to some today on that theme and really learned a lot. So it's been good so far.
What session sparked you as interesting that you can take home to use?
The one yesterday I really liked. There were two. One was CalPro, which is professional development for, I believe it was English language educators who are working within workforce development. And that was interesting because they figured out how to get funding so they could support teachers in their region with that type of professional development. That's something that we're trying to figure out as well with our learning tools, but not for teachers, for actual students or community members, or however you want to define the population we serve. The second one was a breakout session, or what did you call it? Intensive?
Called a breakout session.
So the second group was a breakout session where this is also workforce development and workplace communication, and it was people working in that field, and we formed a little group where we can stay in touch and share resources. So that was really valuable as well.
What do you hope to bring back to where you teach of the Catesol conference? And do you hope to be part of the Catesol conference giving presentation?
Part of the deal was that I go back with knowledge that you gain here and share it with other teachers. So one of the things is use of technology in the classroom. That's really important to, I think, teachers now, because it's such a valuable resource. So I'll take back my experience with that here and then share that with colleagues. And in the future, I do hope to present on some things we've learned through developing e-learning materials for the population that we serve, specifically diverse organizations, diverse companies, and diverse universities, community colleges, and adult schools. And I've really learned a lot about e-learning in that context, and would be happy to share my experience with people.
So what you're saying, one more question, you're saying that the future of Catesol will involve more with technology and e-learning, electronic learning, instead of just book-based.
There's a nice foundation in print materials that will continue because it's very valuable, timely, in person. Well, I think with adult education, at least, you have these logistical challenges where you have people with varied schedules who don't have transportation or can't get to a central location because it's too far for regular classes. You still want to serve them, and one way to do that, once the model is a little bit more concrete, is to use technology. So you can reach more people and provide resources and have more of an impact. It's really our goal. So we're at a point in time when I think technology is starting to be adopted in very useful ways, and we're learning things that work and things that don't.
That don't work, that's correct. Right.
And there's a lot of things that don't work.
So we have to figure out to refine what works and put it to use, instead of using things that don't work and keep on using things that don't work.
Correct. One thing that we did learn from the experience of testing an e-learning platform, at least for ESL, was the need for blended instruction. So
Blended is the same as integrated, is that what you're saying? Or blended in terms of do some of this and do like technology? Is that blended for you?
blended would be doing something live, whether it's live online or live in person, and combining that with other asynchronous, either recorded video or some type of game or animation.
Okay.
But we just found that you can't just have e-learning with no contact and interaction. So you want to blend the two. That was a big learning experience.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we've enjoyed talking with Matthew here, and he's got a great future in teaching English as a second language. So we hope you success, Matthew.
Thank you.
And I have here with me a lady who I've just met here at Catesol. And could you introduce yourself, please?
Certainly. I'm Jamie Adelson Goldstein of Lighthearted Learning.
What is your profession in terms of why you're here at Catesol Conference?
Well, I'm here because I believe in professional development, and I am a professional development specialist. And I've been a member of Catesol for probably 31 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the conference is one of the best professional development opportunities in California.
Oh, very good. Okay. So what are your impressions so far of this Catesol conference in San Diego?
It's been terrific. I've seen wonderful presentations. I thought the plenaries were excellent. The food is interesting, but but that you can't complain about that because that's inappropriate. That's not why we're here. But and the site is lovely.
Okay. Were there any sessions that you can that you have gone to that
Absolutely.
sticks out? Can you
Yes,
tell us
there
a
was
little bit?
Sylvia Ramirez and Lynn Savage's session on
Sylvia.
reading and writing.
Okay.
And the integration of reading and writing skills across levels. And it was really specific with very specific strategies that we can follow.
Okay.
It was extremely well attended. And I think everyone had an aha moment when they talked about text features and helping students identify text features using graphic organizers. It was exquisite.
And last question is, what do you hope to bring back to your line of job after you leave this conference?
Well, because I do professional development, I was part of the adult level RAP, and I thought a lot of the questions that came up on standards were the kinds of questions that I want to start addressing when I work with teachers across not just across California, but across the U.S.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me introduce someone I just met here at Catesol. Would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Nobuyuki Shimizu. I'm a UC urban student who is taking a class to teach English.
Okay. So you don't have your Catesol certificate? You do have it?
Yeah, this is my first time to come
Okay.
here. Yeah.
Okay, so being this your first time, what sessions have you been to that are really exciting?
I went to 2 workshops. The one is about writing, how to teach writing 5-paragraph essays especially, but how to teach effectively, more interactively. So that is the most impressive. They gave me many great ideas and impressions. Yeah.
So for you, writing was important because you want to teach writing to your future students.
Yeah. Actually, I'm from Japan,
Okay.
so yeah, most Japanese students are willing to learn grammar and writing so as to get the permission to get into universities or college. So that is why writing is important thing to teach English in Japan. Yeah.
Interesting. So you are here to learn to get the Catesol certificate and then go back to Japan and teach.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, very good. What part of Japan?
In around Tokyo.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I was in your country 3 years ago.
I
Yes,
see. Yeah.
Okay. What do you hope to bring back to Japan or going back to college that will help you?
Yeah, the problem of Japanese English education system is it is just giving explanation, giving just knowledge. So it's not interactive. Most of Japanese classroom is not interactive. But the Catesol gave me a lot of ideas and impressions how to teach English interactively. So
Good.
that is why, I chose to come here.
So in other words, what you've learned about the merit education, especially Catesol or English as a second language, is that they do it interactively, but not in Japan.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly. Yeah,
Interesting. So that needs to be changed in Japan.
Yep.
Okay. will they be willing to accept your style of interactive teaching when you go back to Japan?
Yeah, I think it takes really long time to change drastically the way of teaching or the way of a classroom, how the classroom should be like. But but some teachers are still learning how to teach English here. My colleagues are learning here. So we can create a kind of movement. So it kind of movement to change drastically.
Nobuyuki, right?
Yep.
Nobuyuki, may I ask you, how did you learn English when you were in Japan?
Actually, I when I was a high school student, a junior high school student, I started to learn English.
More in Japan?
Yeah. So I've studied English for about more than 10 years. But I think
wasn't enough.
Yeah, it wasn't enough. So I think most students need English class before getting to the junior high school, getting to their junior high school.
So what you're saying, in order for Japanese students to learn better, they need more interaction.
Yeah. Another problem of Japanese classroom is less interaction. So that is why most Japanese people are not good at listening and speaking.
That is true, because I do have a student like that. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, two of them.
Yeah.
So in other words, me as an ESL teacher, in order to help Japanese students, they need to learn how to interact.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you will bring this aspect back to Japan. How many more years of training do you need before you go back?
Actually, I will go back to Japan next month.
Next month. It's good that you came to the Catesol conference.
Yeah.
Now, will you be getting a certificate, or before you leave, are you going to get a degree at UC Irvine?
Yeah, I will get certificate in this December.
Not a degree, but just a certificate.
just a certificate.
Okay.
And I will go back to Japan.
Okay. Well, best wishes to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
My name is Esther Lee. I teach at Cal State Fullerton, and I also teach at Mount SAC, San Antonio College in Walnut.
What sessions have you taken that's really striking and interesting regarding the Catesol conference?
I think the takeaway from me during this conference is going to be reflective learning. And so getting my students to really think about what they are learning, what they're doing, and really reflect on that, whether it's through journals or projects or writing or share that, but sharing with their friends in the classroom. But I really want them to reflect on how they're using English in their everyday life.
Okay. Is technology part of your instruction?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Of course. And in my classroom, we use it all the time. We use different apps for communicating. I have them use Shadow Puppet for presenting and recording their voice. So yeah, technology is a huge part of what I do in the classroom.
Your philosophy in teaching is that teaching in terms of the traditional way, but also incorporating technology or integrating it.
Yes. I think our students are constantly on their cell phones. They know how to use it, I think, better than I can. And so I really want to incorporate that and, let them know that there are podcasts that are available for them to listen to go on blogs and go on social media just to post their ideas and what they're learning.
What will you take back to your classroom from this conference?
I think we're moving towards really looking at learner outcomes, and so that's what I want to take to my classroom and say, okay, here are our objectives. How are we going to get there and get my students to really participate in the process, and then to really have a checkoff list, whether it's a visual list or it's a mental list, to really have that and say, you know what, we're moving towards gaining that knowledge.
Your way of teaching is going from A to Z, make sure they get to the end point.
Yes, always.
Very good. I thank you so much, Esther, for the interview.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Emily, and I am an undergraduate student at Cal Poly Pomona, and I've come here to explore the conference and to help volunteer wherever they need me.
I'm Matthew Perez, and I also am from Cal Poly Pomona. and I am also here at the conference to offer my services and to see anything that's around. Dr. Rusakov recommended us to come here, and we are both TESOL minors.
Oh, okay.
And so we decided to come here to further education, see what's out there in the job market, and see what to do later on.
Now, Emily and Matthew, what is your job in terms of volunteering?
As volunteers, we stand in hallways and outside buildings. We help guide people to where they need to be if they have any questions about maybe where to eat or where a location is for their sessions.
Has the organization been running well so far? What can be improved?
Everything seems to be running really well so far. I guess the only thing that they could change is make the map a little more accurate and easier to understand, because it's really hard to find where to go, and we actually do receive a lot of questions pertaining to what locations are where and how to get to certain places. And
now, what do you take away from this conference? Are you going to be teachers one day? Are you going to come back as volunteers? Are you going to be presenters?
Personally, I definitely hope to go into teaching and to teach abroad specifically, to teach English. And yeah, this experience has definitely solidified that for me and given me hope in what I'm doing right now.
I'm planning on going into Asia and use my TESOL minor to some good use over there.
Very good. I thank you, Emily and Matthew, for the interview.
Thank you.
My name is Bo Hood. I teach at City College of San Francisco, Cambodia.
Okay. And?
I'm Denise Meduli Williams, and I am teaching at San Diego Miramar College. I'm an Air Force brat, so I am not from any specific location.
Okay. What are your impressions of Catesol so far?
Well, Catesol brings in all kinds of talents, and my reason of being here is to work with Denise. We have been working together for a long time,
2008.
Since 2008, and I love the collaboration because it allows me to grow as a teacher.
I love that there are teachers, I've met professional staff, people in different businesses related to language learning from all areas of California. So we can very easily get kind of pigeonholed in our one area and not see what's going on in the wider world. So I really appreciate that at Catesol.
So, what have you learned and what can you share with us in terms of the Catesol conference?
The plenary today was really awesome.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Even though it is not directly connected to my context, but I take away from it, I'm a non-credit teacher, and the talk was about academic writing. So it gives me a really good idea of how I can get my students ready, because eventually my non-credit students will move into the credit world.
And I also really appreciate Dr. Curtis's plenary talk yesterday at lunch, and he ended with reminding the entire packed room full of teachers that we're on the front lines, that we matter with our students in these difficult times. And I think that message is something I really took to heart. I already feel that way, but it's good to hear someone else say that, and I think we are extremely important right now to our students.
And what will you take back with you to your job site after this conference?
Gosh, just one thing?
Well, anything. Give me two things that you will take back with you.
Well, personally, the conference really fulfilled me as a teacher. I feel very connected and inspired by all the ideas. There's so many ideas I could list up to that. But overall, it's going back and feeling excited again to go back into the classroom, because I've seen all these wonderful talents, and they're so kind to share them with me, and we are able to share what we do, what matters to us, which is our students and our instructions. And I think that's the greatest gift for this kind of get-together conference.
Then we both presented, and it's always really great to hear from all different types of teachers that are doing things in their classes as well, making connections, exchanging emails, following each other on Twitter and Instagram. I love that we're forming a bigger community, and we'll be able to stay in touch after we leave.
How does technology work in your classroom, and do you think technology will be embraced more with the teaching of English?
We need about an hour.
We just
did that.
Right. So we were participating in 3 different presentations. We just did reframing ESOL pedagogy through educational technologies. I think that we both feel technology is inherently integrated in all of our courses. It's extremely important for our students to learn how to use it in an educational way. And neither one of us could teach or learn without it at this point.
In other words, it's a must now.
It is a must.
It is a must. We live in 2016.
Yes. Denise talks very much in our presentation about what that means in credit division. And for credit students, I talked about it from non-credit. And both of us need technology. We use it different ways. What technology is sort of the necessary evil. I mean, too much technology can be bad where you're constantly bombarded with it. But if you structure it in ways that is meaningful for your students and for us, we talked a lot about how technology actually has changed the way Denise and I teach English as a second language, and we use it to our benefits. And I think that's the part where we have to come in. You know, we need to, anything, it doesn't have to be technology, but especially in technology, you have to pick and choose, and you have to choose whatever is right for your context. You can't just use technology because it's fun or because you get all these alerts and notifications, whatever, but it has to be relevant, meaningful, and it helps our students learn English, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah, it allows students to create their own content, it allows them to individualize their learning, it gives every student a voice, it builds and breaks down walls beyond communities, and we can't not use it. It's to our advantage and to our students. We will send them out in the world, as part of a disservice if they don't know how to use technology thoughtfully and safely.
Teachers must also ride the wave of technology, so we have to be ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
So I feel like one of the strong points Denise and I bring into this is that neither one of us are afraid to fail. We have you used stuff that failed?
Absolutely. I've dropped things in the middle, like, never mind, let's not do this.
Right. Yeah. But the benefits that we get from the things that we have chosen in technology to use in our class has benefited us far beyond. And I think that's the part that I think if you're always saying, oh, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, part of it, we're doing our students a disservice if we don't employ technology. And we have to use it to our benefit. I think that's the key. And choose it very appropriately, choose it very carefully, and plan. I can't say that enough. You can't just use it because it's fun.
Right.
It has to be relevant, meaningful, right? It has to be pedagogically sound.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You start with what you want the goal is for your class and the language learning. And if there's technology that enhances that, then you use that to your advantage.
And I think the surprising thing that you and I have found also is that, there has been talks about how technology disengages students or doesn't bring us together.
It's isolating.
Yeah, we have found that in linguistics, that isn't necessarily true, and it really all depending on how you strategize, how you plan, how you use it. And we actually find that through technology, students are becoming more communicative. Like for my part, in non-credit, technology has given my students linguistic confidence. Fluency is what I want them to have. I want them to be able to open their mouths and say things. And we're not so focusing on error correction because at this level, what I want them to feel good about speaking English. And technology has allowed them to do that as a safe place. And they are talking, communicating. So I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. And I'm using technology to enhance our Catesol conference.
Yes.
So thank you very much, ladies, Denise and Bo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Eric Aranda, and I'm currently teaching at Cal Poly Pomona.
I'm Chelsea Novotny, and I'm also currently teaching at Cal Poly Pomona.
And the first thing is that this being their first Catesol conference, I'd like to know your feelings, your reactions regarding this Catesol conference.
My initial feeling was a great sense of wonderment and feeling overwhelmed just by the sheer status of the people here, the quality of the people and the research, and of the work being done is something I've never experienced before, and something at this scale I've never experienced before either.
A lot of wonderment and awe, and definitely feeling a little overwhelmed because it really makes you realize how accessible Catesol is, and how you can really get to know the people who are actually even writing your textbooks. And it makes you really excited to get back in the classroom and to get to work, and and a little bit starstruck when you meet someone really famous, or at least famous to me.
What were some of the workshops that you've attended that was interesting or wow moments for you?
One workshop that I attended that I really enjoyed was given by Sophia Amida, Amy Colaho, and Rita Zhuang from San Francisco State University. And it was a workshop explaining a curriculum for low-level undocumented workers in San Francisco. And the social and political implications and ramifications of the work that those people are doing really struck a chord with me, because I realized just how grounded and important the work that everyone's doing here is to the lives of people outside of our community. And it really inspired me to do similar work.
This workshop inspired you, the fact that we have to be aware of the immigrants who come here to learn English. That
Definitely.
Right. So it's different from learning from the textbook.
It's almost night and day. When you're in your room or in the library studying and reading textbooks, there's lots of helpful information, and there's new information that you've never been exposed to before. But the information can only go so far. When you see how the work affects the lives of real people, or how it helps people to better their lives, that's when the real application, I think, comes in.
And Chelsea, how about you?
I went to more like academic workshops, although I'm starting to wish I had gone to that one with you. But one of my favorite workshops that I attended was held by Ann Johns, right? Ann Johns?
Ann Johns.
Yes. And so it was really great because it really made me think about how I'm teaching writing in the classroom. And she talked about how important it is to teach students not just the 5-paragraph essay, because that is very removed from writing that you do outside of like in-class test taking, and how you can have students teach like from different genres, different voices, and it really made me excited.
This being your first Catesol conference, what knowledge, experience are you going to walk away with to your side of teaching? What will you take with you?
I think what will most stick with me after this conference is over is the, as Chelsea mentioned before, the accessibility of this community and how we may approach our classrooms with the feeling or the knowledge that there is a community of really great people behind us and whose work is influencing us. So I don't think it was one piece of information. It was more of a comfort to know that I'm part of this community with
the community of learners, teachers.
Yeah, exactly.
So you came here and you find there's a lot of support people or resources where you could look for and find to help you teach better.
Right, exactly.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to be walking away from this knowing that how lost and confused I am in my first year of teaching is normal. I had the tremendous opportunity to attend the mentoring session, and it was so helpful. And I got a lot of great feedback of how I can go forward, what kind of resources I can draw from. And so it makes you up to how accessible this field is, and also how many resources you have truly in lesson planning, in textbooks. Like, people want you to get all the help you need. They want you to succeed. And that's one of the best parts about coming to this conference.
Did you approach the experienced teachers, or did they approach you, or it's just simultaneously it happened that you talked to each other? Or did you stick around with people who are just new teachers?
I would say it was very simultaneous. Like, there were times where I was nervous, so I kind of creeped forward and slid my way in, and then had the fangirl moment. I'd be like, hi. But at the same time, there were even times where I was standing at a booth and someone would walk up and they'd start a conversation about the textbook we were both looking at, or that we were both attending the same session, or even I was able to attend a grammar session. It was Grammar for a Head Start by, and I ran into her after, and we got a chance to talk about ways that you could take what she was presenting and put it into a new context and how it was very accessible. And so, like, people, like, they want feedback on their presentations, and you want additional info, and so they seek you out, but you seek them out too.
What message would you have for colleagues of yours who've never been to a Catesol conference and who are beginning to go into this area of teaching English as a second language?
Come.
Okay.
As a graduate student, it's expensive for me, but I think the enrichment it gives your, not only your professional life, but your personal life as well. I mean, if you do well in your job, I think you're going to feel better as a person in your person. So the two overlap a lot of the times. And so my message would be just to come.
It's an investment, even though it's expensive. It is an investment to your future.
It's an investment to your future and to the lives of your future students.
I would say you should absolutely come. I think it's a very valuable experience.
I want to thank my guests, Chelsea and Eric, for, we might say, a feedback on how this conference is going. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcel.
Thank you.
It's the last day of the conference, and I just wanted to reflect on what I've done as a photographer and videographer. Taking pictures of all the events and all the people important in this event has helped me understand how important this Catesol convention is. And having interviewed people on the conference itself, I understand how dedicated people are and how willing they are to come here to learn and to enhance their knowledge of teaching students from all over the world. And I hope from this video you'll get an understanding of how valuable it is to come to the Catesol. And if you've never been, it's time to come. So until next Catesol conference.